we'll discuss what is a RAG and what is a vector database in very simple term, a very layman term. So let's say you don't know anything about RAG or anything about AI applications, and you just know how this basic REST API works. So we'll discuss how a RAG works. Okay, so first let's draw a traditional approach. We have a database. Okay, so we have just a database, and usually whenever these days, so what happens is we just do a REST call to this database that give me the list of users, right? And what happens is it just returns you to this list of users, and you consume that in your backend API and you send it to your front end, right? So that is how it is. Like this is a traditional DB. Okay, so now what is RAG? So now when we have introduced AI, right, now we want to enhance the our application with the AI capability. Okay, so let's say this is your traditional database where you have the list of your orders, business, whatever it is. Now what happens is your requirement come that we need to have a chatbot, okay, similar to OpenAI. So what is the ask is, if I ask something to this chatbot, it should get me information or it should work similar with ChatGPT but with my data. Right? So this is my data, but we can do this directly. We can, but that is not a best approach. So what is the best way? The best way always is a chatbot which is dependent on a LLM, right? So you'll have to have an LLM, a open source LLM, right? Similar to like you can have Llama or OpenAI, anyone. Okay, so whenever something you're asking to your front end, right, on your chatbot, it will ask your LLM, and your LLM will ask to another database. Now this is the vector database. This is a kind of new type of database, you can say vector database. So I'll explain what is a vector database. I'll just show you vector database. It is actually three-dimensional database, similar to how your SQL was a table or something. See, this is a vector database. This image will explain everything nicely. So it has three axes, or it can be multiple dimensional, more than three as well. So every data we have, so here we have some traditional data. We will convert this traditional data to vectors. So we'll explain how we convert this. So we had some traditional data, we will convert this to vectors. Okay, we'll convert to vector. Okay, I'll move just this one to this one. Okay, once this is converted to vector, we will store our traditional data to this vector database. Okay, so now when your AI application is making a request, so your LLM, it will go to your LLM. LLM will query your vector database. It will not go to your traditional database, and this vector database will give it a response that okay, this is the data, and then this LLM will change the data to, you know, if you want it in Hindi, English, or any way, or any short long that form, that LLM can get do that on top of your vector data, and it can return to that chatbot. Okay, but now let's understand what is this conversion and how this happens. So usually a vector is just numbers, right? So you might have read that scalar and vector in physics. So similar to that, whatever your traditional data is, it can be your it can be your text, it can be anything, the PDF, anything, right? So that will convert to some numbers. So numbers like you can just assume that something like this, and some numbers, right? So everything can be represented to some numbers. That number will be stored in this vector database somewhere, and there is a classification, we'll see that later. So you can see all kind of birds will stay at one line, or this kind of similar data apples will stay at one section, like that only. So we'll convert those two vectors using some embedded models. So again, in the upcoming videos I will explain that what is the embedding model. But embedding models, it is going out of yeah. But just understand that whatever the traditional data we have, that will convert to vectors that will look like this using some embedding models, and then whatever the data we got, will store that in this vector database. So every data we have traditionally can be presented to this vector, we can feed that to this vector database, and our AI application can now read from this vector database and can give us data. That's it, everything. That's all about RAG. So in short, so if I'll just explain it a bit, RAG is R stands for retrieval, right? When you are asking something to a AI model, it is retrieving some from this vector database. So mostly RAG is associated with vector database, but it can retrieve from traditional database, but it is mostly associated with this vector database. And then augmentation and then generation. Once it gets this data, it will generate those nicely in a paragraph or some cool way, and it will just return you that one. This is RAG, nothing much. Okay, so I hope you like this video, and the next section I will just explain what is the difference between just making a RAG application and pre-training, so or fine tuning you can say. So let's say, see, this is a model, you are taking a model like llama or something. In that one you are just querying this vector database, that is one thing, but the other thing is we can take a model and we can enhance this model, we can train it a few more data. So what is that difference between that part and this one? So if this video was a bit useful to you, just please like and add a comment, that will inspire me to add more videos. Thank you.